Think and grow rich. These are not merely words to be repeated, but a philosophy to be lived. The power to grow rich lies not in the pocket, but in the mind, not in the world outside, but in the imagination that dares to see beyond the visible. Every achievement, every fortune, every success that has ever been created began with a single thought, and the individual who mastered that thought shaped it into reality. Riches, whether they be measured in money, influence, knowledge, or peace of mind, always begin as invisible seeds planted in the fertile soil of the human mind. It is here in thought that destiny is written. If you can control your mind, if you can discipline your thinking, if you can command your imagination with the same precision as a sculptor commands his chisel, then there is nothing you cannot create, nothing you cannot achieve, nothing you cannot possess. Riches belong to the individual who dares to claim them through belief and persistent action. There are countless men and women who wander through life believing riches are for the fortunate few, that wealth is a gift of luck or chance, that opportunities fall only to those who are blessed by fate. But fortune favors no man unless he is willing to create fortune within himself first. The wealthy, the powerful, the influential, all share a secret. They believed they could be rich long before wealth came into their hands. They saw themselves as successful long before success bowed at their feet. They claimed prosperity in their imagination long before the world could recognize it in their reality. Riches are not chased. They are attracted by the vibration of your thoughts, by the determination of your will, and by the fire of your desire. You will never have more than you believe you deserve, and you will never hold in your hand what you cannot first see in your mind. Every great creation begins with desire. Desire is the starting point of all achievement. It is the spark that ignites the flame of persistence, the fuel that keeps you alive when obstacles appear, the compass that directs you through the storms of doubt and rejection. A man without desire will live a small life, for he has nothing to reach for, no vision to stretch toward, no reason to rise after every fall. But the man who possesses a burning desire, so intense it consumes him day and night, cannot be denied. The universe itself will bend to the will of one who desires so deeply that he refuses to surrender. Desire, when mixed with faith, becomes power. Faith transforms wish into certainty, and certainty transforms invisible thought into visible form. To think and grow rich is to train your mind to hold desire until it hardens into belief, and belief until it manifests as reality. You must understand that riches cannot be built on weak wishes. Wishes are fleeting, shallow, fragile things. Wishes break at the first sign of resistance. Wishes die in the cold wind of adversity. But desire is different. Desire is obsession. Desire is passion. Desire is fire in the bones, refusing to be extinguished no matter how hard the world may try. You cannot simply wish for riches. You must desire them with the intensity of a drowning man gasping for air. When riches become as necessary as the breath in your lungs, when you are willing to sacrifice comfort, endure rejection, and outlast disappointment, then riches will yield to you. Until that point, they will elude you, for they are not the prize of the casual dreamer, but of the determined thinker. Imagination is the workshop of the mind, the place where riches are first constructed before they are born into the world. Every bridge, every skyscraper, every empire, every fortune existed first as an idea. Ideas are the greatest riches, and those who learn to generate, nurture, and act upon ideas command the world. Imagination is the preview of life's coming attractions. If you would think and grow rich, you must discipline your imagination to paint the future you desire so vividly that it feels real long before it exists. The clearer your mental picture, the more precise your plan of action, the stronger your belief in its fulfillment, the faster the world will align with your vision. Never underestimate the power of imagination. To neglect it is to accept poverty of thought, and poverty of thought is the parent of poverty in life. But imagination alone is not enough. Thought without action is daydreaming. To think and grow rich, you must marry thought with persistence. Persistence is the iron quality of success. It is the refusal to quit when others surrender, the courage to stand when others run, the faith to keep moving when the path is dark. Persistence transforms failure into stepping stones. Every rejection, every setback, every disappointment contains the seed of an equal or greater benefit for the man who persists. Riches do not yield easily. They test you. They challenge you. They resist you. They want to know how badly you want them. And when you prove through persistence that you will never surrender, then they bow to you. Riches come to the man who refuses to be defeated. You will face obstacles. You will be told you are not good enough, not smart enough, not worthy enough. You will meet criticism, doubt, and fear. Fear is the greatest enemy of riches, for fear paralyzes thought, kills imagination, and destroys persistence. Fear whispers that you are not capable. Fear convinces you to wait for a better time. Fear feeds you excuses until your dreams wither and die. But fear is a liar. The way to destroy fear is through faith and action. When you act in spite of fear, fear loses its grip. When you hold faith in the face of uncertainty, faith grows stronger, and fear disappears. Every man who has grown rich has walked through the valley of fear, but he walked with faith as his companion and persistence as his shield. Your thoughts are magnets. They attract to you people, opportunities and circumstances that harmonize with their nature. If you think failure, you will attract failure. If you think poverty, you will attract poverty. If you think riches, you will attract riches. Guard your thoughts as you would guard treasure, for they shape your destiny. Fill your mind with abundance, not lack, with confidence, not doubt, with victory, not defeat. Speak words of power, for your tongue directs your mind, and your mind directs your life. If you would think and grow rich, then discipline your thoughts until they align with the riches you seek. Do not allow negative influences to poison your thinking. Surround yourself with those who believe in your vision, for association determines elevation. You cannot rise if you are chained to the small minds of those who do not dream. Decision is another cornerstone of riches. Indecision breeds poverty, hesitation feeds fear, procrastination kills opportunity. The wealthy decide quickly and change their decisions slowly. The poor decide slowly and change their decisions quickly. To think and grow rich, you must learn to act with decisiveness. When your desire is clear and your faith is strong, act without hesitation. Opportunity is fleeting and riches are shy. They will not wait for the man who cannot decide. Train yourself to make decisions rooted in faith, not fear. Every decision carries risk, but indecision is the greatest risk of all. Decide who you are. Decide what you want. Decide to persist until it is yours. Decision is destiny. Specialized knowledge is another pathway to riches. General knowledge, no matter how vast, is of little use in the marketplace. Specialized knowledge applied with action builds fortunes. It is not enough to know, you must know how to apply. Seek knowledge that advances your vision, acquire skills that magnify your abilities, and never stop learning. Riches reward the man who brings value to the world, and value is born from specialized knowledge. When you possess knowledge that few have and you apply it with imagination and persistence, riches must flow to you. Knowledge is potential power, but action transforms it into riches. No man grows rich alone. Riches are the result of cooperation, of alliances, of minds working together in harmony toward a definite purpose. Success demands that you create a circle of minds, a group of individuals who share your vision, who challenge your thinking, who strengthen your faith. This harmony of minds multiplies power, for the collective imagination of many is greater than that of one. Riches grow in the soil of cooperation, and poverty thrives in the weeds of isolation. If you would think and grow rich, choose your associations wisely, for they will either lift you toward riches or drag you toward poverty. Discipline is the silent builder of riches. Without discipline, desire fades, persistence weakens, imagination wanders. Discipline is doing what must be done whether you feel like it or not. Discipline is rising early when the body craves sleep, working late when the mind craves rest, focusing when the world distracts. Discipline turns ordinary men into extraordinary creators. Riches yield themselves to the disciplined mind because it can be trusted to act with consistency, to endure with patience, to labor without ceasing until success is inevitable. Discipline is the bridge between thought and achievement, between desire and possession, between poverty and riches. The greatest riches are not measured in gold or silver, but in the man you become in the pursuit of wealth. For true riches are not merely possessions, but power. The power to think independently, to act decisively, to persist endlessly, to imagine boldly, to live fully. Money is but a reflection of the riches within. To think and grow rich is to first grow rich in character, in discipline, in vision, in courage. When these inner riches are secured, material riches must follow, for they are drawn irresistibly to the man who has mastered himself. Self-mastery is the ultimate wealth, for it guarantees that no matter what riches you may lose, you will always have the power to create them again. So I say to you, dare to think. Dare to believe, dare to imagine, dare to persist, dare to grow rich. The riches you desire already exist in the unseen, waiting for your thoughts to summon them, your faith to claim them, your persistence to seize them. Every man who has grown rich began where you are now with a thought. Do not despise small beginnings. Do not mock your dreams because they are invisible. For every visible creation was once invisible. Every fortune was once a thought. Every empire was once an ideal in the mind of one who dared to believe. The world belongs to thinkers, and the future belongs to dreamers who refuse to quit. Riches are not distant. They are near. They are not scarce. They are abundant. They are not reserved for the few. They are available to all who will pay the price of thought, faith, persistence, and action. The question is not whether riches are possible, but whether you will dare to claim them. Will you think and grow rich, or will you doubt and remain poor? The choice is yours, for destiny is not written in the stars, but in the thoughts you choose to hold, the decisions you choose to make, the persistence you choose to embody. If you will master your mind, you will master your world. Think and grow rich, and riches in all their forms will be yours. All riches begin in the mind. What you hold in thought becomes what you hold in life. To understand this truth is to hold the key to every door of opportunity, every treasure of wealth, every achievement waiting to be realized. For life is nothing more than a reflection of the mind that conceives it. What you see around you today, your circumstances, your relationships, your financial condition, your health, are all the outcomes of yesterday's thoughts. Thoughts are not invisible whispers without consequence. They are the seeds from which reality grows. A man's life is nothing but the sum total of his dominant thoughts, for the mind is a magnet, drawing into existence the exact nature of what it continually contemplates. If you think poverty, speak poverty, dwell upon poverty, you create conditions that ensure its continuation. But if you think abundance, believe in abundance, and fix your mind firmly on prosperity, you create the environment where riches must come forth. The riches of life are not simply money or possessions, though those too are shaped by thought. Riches include peace of mind, fulfillment of purpose, deep relationships, personal freedom, and spiritual strength. Each of these is first constructed in the workshop of the mind before being seen in the physical world. To say all riches begin in the mind is to say that life itself is obedient to the images and beliefs impressed upon it. The man who believes he is destined to fail will find failure around every corner, not because the world conspires against him, but because he has already conspired against himself through his own thoughts. The man who believes he is capable of greatness, who holds visions of achievement, who pictures himself succeeding again and again, moves through the world with a confidence that invites opportunity. His thought precedes his reality. You cannot plant thorns in your mind and expect roses to grow in your life. The law is too precise, too exact, too unwavering for that. If you hold thoughts of limitation, fear, doubt, and weakness, they will root themselves deep within and manifest in the form of missed chances, failed ventures, and stagnant growth. If you hold thoughts of power, belief, courage, and abundance, they will sprout as opportunities, victories, and blessings. The mind is the soil, thought is the seed, and your life is the harvest. It is not chance, but choice, not luck, but law. What you dwell upon, you draw upon. What you focus on, you attract. What you believe, you build. Consider every invention that changed the world. The light bulb, the telephone, the airplane, the automobile, the skyscraper, the computer. None of these existed until a man dared to think them. They were first realities in the unseen world of thought before they became realities in the seen world of matter. The same is true of fortunes. Every empire of wealth was once an idea, a vision held so firmly in the mind that it eventually reshaped the world. The riches that you see in the hands of others are not accidents, but the deliberate results of disciplined thinking. A man dared to imagine them, dared to believe them, dared to persist until they existed. And so it is with you. Your future is being written now in the thoughts you are holding today. If you do not like your present, it is because of the thoughts you held yesterday. If you desire a better tomorrow, begin by planting richer thoughts today. Thought is not passive, it is energy. Every thought carries vibration, and vibration attracts to itself its likeness. A mind saturated with fear attracts fearful situations. A mind overflowing with faith attracts doors of possibility. This is not mysticism, but natural law. Just as a magnet draws to itself metal, the mind draws to itself people, circumstances, and conditions that correspond to its dominant thoughts. To think of failure with intensity is to rehearse its arrival. To think of wealth with certainty is to prepare its coming. The mind is the architect, thought is the blueprint, and life is the building. It cannot be otherwise. You cannot construct a palace from the blueprint of a shack. You cannot design a life of abundance if the blueprint of your thoughts is soaked in scarcity. Many believe riches are given only to the lucky, to the well-connected, to those born into privilege. But luck is only the meeting point of opportunity and prepared thought. The man who thinks consistently of prosperity, who expects wealth, who believes in his ability to achieve it, will recognize opportunities when they appear, while the man who thinks constantly of lack will walk past those same opportunities blind to their presence. The difference is not in the world, but in the mind perceiving it. Life gives to each man not what he wants in passing, but what he holds in thought with persistence. You cannot casually think of wealth today and doubt tomorrow, then wonder why it does not arrive. Consistency of thought shapes consistency of results. Riches flow to the man whose mind is steadfast, whose vision is unwavering, whose belief is unshaken. Guard your mind as you would guard treasure, for it is the source of all riches. Just as you would not allow thieves into your home, do not allow negative thoughts into your consciousness. They will rob you of your wealth before it ever arrives. You must choose deliberately what you allow to dwell in your mind, for whatever you tolerate there will eventually manifest in your life. Feed your mind daily with images of success, words of affirmation, and visions of abundance. Refuse to entertain thoughts of defeat, for they poison the soil in which your riches must grow. If you find your mind slipping into doubt or fear, arrest it immediately and replace it with a vision of the outcome you desire. The mind is a servant. It will obey whatever master you give it. Choose a master of faith, not fear, of abundance, not lack, of courage, not timidity. It is true that circumstances can be difficult, that obstacles can appear overwhelming, that the present can look hopeless. But the mind has the power to rise above circumstance. You are not imprisoned by what is, you are liberated by what you choose to think. History is filled with men who began in poverty yet rose to great wealth, not because circumstances were in their favor, but because their thoughts were in their favor. They refused to allow current conditions to dictate future possibilities. Instead, they used the power of their minds to imagine greater realities until those realities materialized. If they can, so can you. Your mind does not recognize poverty or wealth. It only recognizes the instructions you give it. If you feed it instructions of wealth, it will move heaven and earth to create it. If you feed it instructions of poverty, it will ensure you remain there. All riches begin in the mind, and thus your greatest work is inner work. Before you build fortunes in the world, you must build fortresses in your thoughts. Before you create empires of business, you must create empires of belief. Before you command wealth, you must command your imagination. The battlefield of life is not out there. It is in here, in the quiet corners of your mind where thoughts are born. Win the battle there, and victory is guaranteed in the world outside. Lose the battle there, and no amount of labor or effort will bring the results you desire. Think abundantly, and you will live abundantly. Think richly, and you will live richly. Hold it in thought, and soon you will hold it in life. Desire is the starting point of all achievement. Wishes fade, but burning desire fuels persistence. To understand this is to understand the very foundation of every great success story, every fortune built, every dream realized. Desire is not a fleeting thought or a passing hope. It is not a wish whispered in a moment of longing. Wishes are weak. They appear and disappear with the tides of mood and circumstance. But desire, true desire, is fire. It burns steadily in the heart, regardless of the storms that rage outside. It refuses to be extinguished. It resists every attempt to snuff it out, and it compels a man or woman to act with relentless determination until what was once imagined becomes undeniable reality. Think of the countless people who wish for success. They hope for wealth. They long for recognition. They dream of freedom. Yet these remain distant, unreachable fantasies because they never graduate from mere wishes. A wish is passive. It looks to luck, to chance, to outside forces. It waits for something to happen. But desire is active. It moves a person into motion. It stirs the imagination. It awakens courage. It creates persistence. Desire says, I will have this no matter the cost. I will pay the price. I will sacrifice, endure, and persist until it is mine. That kind of desire is irresistible. It bends circumstances to its will. It summons opportunities that were invisible before. It keeps a person alive when the rest of the world has surrendered. History is filled with men and women whose burning desires transformed not only their own lives, but the lives of millions. They were not the strongest, the most gifted, or even the most fortunate, but they possessed a desire so intense it became obsession. Desire gave them vision. Desire gave them energy. Desire gave them the stamina to keep moving forward when everything around them suggested they should quit. That is why desire is the starting point of achievement. Without it, talent is wasted, intelligence is idle, opportunity is overlooked. With it, even the most ordinary person can rise to extraordinary heights. Desire transforms mediocrity into greatness. A wish waits for favorable conditions, but desire creates favorable conditions. A wish says, if only I could, while desire declares, I will. A wish looks at obstacles and retreats, but desire looks at obstacles and turns them into stepping stones. A wish dies when it is confronted with difficulty, but desire thrives under difficulty. It is in struggle that desire grows strong, in adversity that it sharpens itself, in rejection that it proves its worth. That is why the world belongs not to those who wish, but to those who desire with all their heart and soul. But desire alone is not enough. It must be a burning desire, so strong that it becomes the central force of your life. It must consume you, occupy your thoughts day and night until it drives you into action that will not cease until your vision is fulfilled. This kind of desire is not casual. It is definite, specific, and unshakable. The man who says, I would like to be rich, is speaking from a wish. The man who says, I will be rich, I must be rich, nothing can prevent me from being rich, speaks from desire. The first may dabble, try a little, give some effort, and then fade away. The second will rearrange his entire life to achieve what he desires. He will endure sacrifice, discipline, ridicule, and hardship, and yet keep pressing forward. The difference is not in ability, but in the intensity of desire. Desire fuels persistence. Without desire, persistence cannot exist. When challenges arise, the wishful thinker quits, but the man with burning desire keeps going. Why? Because his desire makes quitting impossible. He cannot imagine life without the object of his desire, so he endures what others will not. He continues when others stop. He rises after every fall. Persistence is nothing more than desire made visible through action. If you see a man persist through endless obstacles, it is because desire is burning within him. That fire does not allow him to surrender. It tells him one more step, one more try, one more day, and eventually one more step becomes the step that opens the door to success. Desire is also the mother of faith. When your desire is strong enough, it becomes belief. At first, you may only hope for success, but as desire strengthens, it transforms hope into certainty. You begin to see your success in your mind with such clarity that it feels inevitable. That certainty is faith, and faith is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. Faith energizes persistence. Faith silences fear. Faith makes the impossible possible. But it all begins with desire, for without desire there can be no faith, and without faith there can be no persistence. You must ask yourself, what do I truly desire? Not what do I wish for when life feels difficult. Not what do I casually think would be nice to have, but what do I desire so deeply that I would sacrifice for it, work for it, live for it, and even suffer for it. That desire, when discovered, becomes the compass of your life. It gives you direction when others wander aimlessly. It gives you purpose when others live in confusion. It gives you strength when others grow weak. Desire turns existence into adventure, life into mission, dreams into achievements. But beware of confusing idle wants with true desire. Many say they desire success, but their actions betray them. True desire is revealed in behavior, not in words. If you say you desire wealth, but spend your days in laziness, your desire is a wish. If you say you desire health, but neglect discipline, your desire is a wish. If you say you desire greatness, but hide from responsibility, your desire is a wish. Real desire manifests in effort, sacrifice, discipline, and persistence. If your actions do not reflect your words, then you do not truly desire what you claim. To know your true desire, look not at what you say, but at what you do consistently. Your behavior is the proof of your desire. The beauty of desire is that it is available to all. It requires no special education, no unique background, no rare talent. Anyone from any place can ignite a burning desire that propels them forward. Desire is the great equalizer. It levels the playing field, for even the least talented can outlast the most gifted if desire is stronger. That is why so many of history's greatest achievers began in obscurity. They had little, they knew little, but they desired much. That desire lifted them out of obscurity into greatness, out of poverty into prosperity, out of weakness into power. If you possess desire, no circumstance can chain you down for long. Desire is not only the beginning of achievement, it is the sustainer of achievement. Even after success is won, it is desire that keeps the fire alive. Without ongoing desire, even great fortunes slip away, great empires collapse, great leaders fade. Desire must be tended, fed, and guarded. It must be renewed daily, for the moment you stop desiring to grow, you begin to decline. Riches, whether of money, knowledge, influence, or spirit, belong always to those who keep desire alive. The moment you are satisfied, the moment you let the fire die, the moment you stop reaching, you cease achieving. Life rewards the desiring heart, not the complacent one. So I say to you, do not waste your life with wishes. Wishes will leave you empty, disappointed, and bitter. Cultivate desire instead. Find that one great purpose that stirs your heart, that one great dream that sets your soul on fire. Write it down. Hold it before your eyes daily. Imagine it with all your might. Speak it until it becomes a part of you. Let it consume you until you cannot live without pursuing it. Let it drive you to rise early, to work late, to endure hardship, to persist through rejection. Let it fuel your faith and give strength to your persistence. Desire is the spark, the fire, the power that transforms ordinary lives into extraordinary legacies. Without it, achievement is impossible. With it, there are no limits. Faith transforms thought into certainty. Belief is the bridge between imagination and reality. The human mind is a marvelous instrument, capable of conceiving dreams so vast that they can change the course of history. Yet without faith, these dreams remain intangible, fragile visions that drift away like smoke in the wind. Thought alone is not enough. Imagination alone, no matter how vivid, is not enough. They are the beginnings, yes, but they require a bridge, a force strong enough to carry them from the unseen into the seen, from the inner world of the mind into the outer world of life. That bridge is belief. Faith is the power that takes a thought and transforms it into certainty. It converts desire into reality, vision into substance, possibility into inevitability. Without faith, imagination is only a fantasy. With faith, imagination becomes destiny. Every man and woman who has ever achieved greatness has walked across this bridge of faith. At the beginning, they saw nothing but the invisible pictures in their minds. The world around them offered no proof, no evidence that their dreams were possible. Often their peers laughed, doubted, and ridiculed. Yet they continued to believe. They continued to hold their vision with unwavering certainty, refusing to allow the absence of evidence to destroy the presence of faith. Slowly, the world bent to their belief. Circumstances shifted, opportunities emerged, resources appeared. And one day, what was once an image only they could see became a reality everyone could witness. That is the miracle of faith. It turns thought into certainty, and certainty bends reality itself. Faith is not blind, though many misunderstand it as such. Blindness is ignorance. Faith is clarity. Faith is not pretending something is real when you have no reason to believe it. Faith is knowing so deeply that the unseen is more real than the seen. It is the quiet, unshakable conviction that what you hold in your mind must one day appear in your life, even when every sense argues otherwise. Faith does not require the world's approval, for it does not live on evidence. It lives on conviction. A man with faith does not need others to see what he sees. He does not need proof to believe, for his belief is proof enough. Faith transforms thought into certainty, and certainty acts as a command upon the universe. Consider the man who wishes for success, but has no faith. He may speak of his goals, imagine his future, even write down his dreams, yet when challenges arise, his doubt overpowers him. He looks at obstacles and concludes that success is impossible. His lack of faith suffocates his desire, and his imagination collapses under the weight of uncertainty. Now consider the man of faith. He too faces obstacles, but instead of shrinking, he grows stronger. Instead of saying, "This cannot be done," he says, "I will find a way." His faith transforms difficulties into stepping stones, rejection into redirection, delay into preparation. Where the man without faith quits, the man with faith persists. And persistence, fueled by faith, guarantees eventual victory. Faith is the soil in which persistence grows. A person who doubts cannot persist, for why would he continue to fight for something he does not truly believe is possible? But one who believes with certainty cannot quit, for quitting would mean denying the truth he already holds. Faith makes quitting impossible because it convinces the mind that success is inevitable. This is why faith is essential to achievement. It fuels action long enough for results to appear. Most people fail not because their goal was impossible, but because they lacked the faith to persist until it became possible. Imagination gives birth to dreams, but faith nurtures them into reality. It is one thing to picture yourself wealthy, successful, or free, but without belief, those pictures are nothing more than daydreams. Faith breathes life into imagination. When you see yourself in your mind's eye living the life you desire, faith says, "Yes, this is real, this is possible, this will be." That conviction shapes your actions, sharpens your decisions, strengthens your courage. It compels you to act in alignment with your vision. And by acting as if it were already true, you set in motion the forces that make it true. Faith and imagination working together are unstoppable. Imagination paints the picture, faith builds the bridge, and persistence carries you across. There is no man too weak, no background too humble, no situation too bleak that faith cannot elevate. Faith is the great equalizer. A person with no money but unshakable belief is wealthier in potential than a person with millions but no faith in himself. The latter may lose his fortune and never regain it because doubt paralyzes him, while the former may start with nothing but eventually rise to greatness because faith keeps him moving until fortune is his. Faith is power. It turns poverty into wealth, ignorance into wisdom, weakness into strength. Not because it magically changes circumstances, but because it changes the man who faces those circumstances. A man of faith acts differently, thinks differently, persists differently, and therefore produces different results. Faith is not something you wait to feel. It is something you choose to cultivate. You train your mind to believe just as you train your body to grow strong. Each day you speak words of faith, you picture images of victory, you refuse to entertain thoughts of doubt. At first, the old voice of fear will whisper in your mind, telling you that your dreams are too big, your abilities too small, your circumstances too difficult. But as you continually feed your faith and starve your doubt, the voice of fear grows weaker, and the voice of belief grows stronger. Soon, faith becomes your natural state of mind. You no longer hope timidly, you expect boldly. You no longer wonder if it will happen, you know it will. That knowing is certainty, and certainty always finds a way to manifest itself. Doubt is the great destroyer of dreams. It kills more visions than failure ever could. Failure, when combined with faith, is only a stepping stone. But doubt destroys before you even begin. Doubt paralyzes action, weakens imagination, kills persistence. It whispers, "Why try? It won't work." And those who listen to doubt live lives of mediocrity, not because their goals were impossible, but because their disbelief robbed them of the chance to try. Faith, on the other hand, whispers, "Why not you? Why not now? Keep going, it will work." And those who listen to faith rise above circumstances, for faith strengthens the will until reality conforms to it. This is why you must guard your faith as your greatest possession. Protect it from the voices of doubt, whether they come from within you or from others. Choose carefully who you listen to, for words carry power, and the words of doubt can poison your faith if you allow them. Faith transforms thought into certainty, but it does more than that. It transforms you. A man who believes in his vision carries himself differently. He speaks with confidence. He walks with determination. He radiates conviction. Others are drawn to him because they feel the strength of his certainty. Opportunities are offered to him because people trust those who trust themselves. Doors open to him because the world responds to the vibration of belief. Faith does not only shape your inner world, it reshapes the outer world by influencing how people and circumstances interact with you. The man who believes cannot be ignored, for his very presence demands recognition. All achievement begins with thought, but all achievement is sustained by faith. The mind can conceive many ideas, but only those ideas wrapped in belief have the strength to endure the trials of reality. When you commit to your vision with faith, you set yourself apart from the masses who live and die in the realm of wishing and doubting. You step into the rare company of those who know before others see, who believe before others join, who persist before others understand. And in the end, you stand where others cannot, because faith carried you across the bridge from imagination to reality. So hold fast to your dreams. Do not merely think them, believe them. Do not merely imagine them. Have faith in them. When fear rises, answer with faith. When doubt attacks, defend with belief. When obstacles stand tall, march forward with certainty. Faith is the unseen power that transforms what is in your mind into what is in your life. It is the bridge, the connector, the force that makes the invisible visible, the impossible possible, the imagined real. If you will cultivate faith, nurture it, protect it, and act upon it, there is no dream too distant, no goal too high, no vision too grand. Thought alone begins the journey, but faith completes it. Believe and you shall receive. Imagination is the workshop of riches. Every fortune is first created in the unseen world of ideas. Every great achievement that has ever shaped the course of humanity was first born in the quiet chamber of someone's mind. Before a towering building touched the sky, before a bridge spanned a river, before a business empire employed thousands, it existed only as an idea. The unseen gave birth to the seen. The intangible gave birth to the tangible. Imagination is not child's play or a fleeting indulgence of thought. It is the laboratory where all riches are crafted. It is the divine gift through which the human mind shapes the world. Without imagination, no progress would ever exist. Every fortune, whether measured in wealth, influence, or legacy, begins as a seed planted in the soil of imagination. Imagination allows the mind to bend beyond the limits of circumstance. It frees you from the chains of what is and allows you to create visions of what could be. A poor man surrounded by lack can imagine abundance. A struggling worker can imagine freedom. An unrecognized thinker can imagine glory. And in holding those images, he begins the process of shaping them into reality. Imagination lifts you from the prison of present conditions and offers you a blueprint for the future. Those who lack imagination remain trapped in the smallness of what exists. They accept the world as it is, never daring to believe it could be different. Those who use imagination, however, become architects of a new reality. They see beyond the present, and because they see, they can create. Think of the inventor. He looks upon a problem that others complain about, and in his imagination he sees a solution. That solution does not yet exist in the physical world, but in his mind it is as real as the problem itself. He refines it, molds it, and nurtures it until he can bring it into form. Think of the entrepreneur. She gazes upon the marketplace and sees not only what is being sold, but what could be created. In her imagination, she builds a business, envisions products, pictures customers, and hears the ringing of success before one coin has been earned. Think of the leader. He sees a world where justice, progress, and greatness are possible. That world is not yet visible to others, but in his imagination it is alive. He speaks of it, inspires others with it, and eventually brings it to life. Imagination is the raw material of riches. Money is only a byproduct of ideas. Resources, wealth, and opportunities follow imagination. Without ideas, wealth cannot last. With ideas, wealth is inevitable. A man may inherit a fortune and lose it within years if he lacks imagination, for he cannot create new ways to multiply it. Another man may begin with nothing but imagination, and through his ideas he builds enterprises, attracts resources, and creates abundance. The difference is not the starting point. It is the ability to use the mind as a workshop where riches are designed. There are two kinds of imagination, synthetic and creative. Synthetic imagination rearranges existing concepts into new forms. It looks at what already exists and combines it differently, like taking familiar tools and inventing a new machine. Creative imagination reaches deeper. It draws from the wellspring of inspiration, tapping into visions and insights beyond logic, producing entirely new concepts that never existed before. Both are powerful. Every advancement humanity has achieved comes from one or the other. Whether it is an author weaving old ideas into a new story or a scientist unlocking a principle never before known, imagination is the origin. Imagination is not passive. It must be exercised. Like a muscle, it grows stronger the more you use it. Too often adults abandon imagination, dismissing it as the realm of children. They bury it under routine, habit, and doubt. But those who dare to keep their imagination alive, who take time to dream, to picture, to design, to let the mind wander into possibility, possess the true wealth builder. Imagination coupled with desire becomes unstoppable. Desire fuels the fire, imagination provides the blueprint, and persistence builds the structure. Without imagination, desire burns aimlessly. Without imagination, persistence has no direction. But when imagination provides the vision, every other faculty of the mind falls into alignment to bring it forth. You cannot create what you cannot first imagine. If you cannot see yourself wealthy in your mind, you will never become wealthy in life. If you cannot see yourself free, successful, and fulfilled, you will never attract those conditions. Imagination is rehearsal for reality. It is the stage where you practice the life you wish to live before you live it. The subconscious mind, when fed with vivid images from imagination, begins to work tirelessly to bring them into existence. It influences your actions, heightens your awareness of opportunities, and draws people and circumstances to you that align with your vision. This is why it is said that fortune belongs to those who dare to dream. Dreams are not idle wishes. They are previews of what is possible. Yet imagination must be disciplined. Uncontrolled imagination breeds fantasies without substance. But imagination guided by desire, faith, and purpose becomes creation. When you use imagination to picture your goals clearly, and then you back those visions with belief and action, you have tapped into the formula of riches. The great minds of history were not merely dreamers, they were disciplined dreamers. They saw visions, yes, but they also organized, planned, acted, and persisted until the visions became reality. Their imagination did not wander aimlessly. It served a definite purpose. Imagination also acts as a refuge in times of difficulty. When life brings hardship, the man without imagination sees only the hardship. He is crushed under the weight of what is. The man with imagination, however, looks beyond the hardship. He sees the possibility of triumph, the vision of overcoming, the picture of a brighter tomorrow. That picture sustains him, gives him strength to endure, and guides his steps toward a solution. Imagination does not erase reality, it reshapes it. It takes the raw material of struggle and turns it into the foundation of success. Every fortune, great or small, begins with a vision. No building is erected without a blueprint. No journey is undertaken without a destination. Imagination provides both. To become rich in any area of life, financially, spiritually, emotionally, or intellectually, you must first create the picture in your mind. What do you see for yourself? What life do you imagine living? What riches do you dare to design? Without an answer, life drifts aimlessly. With a clear picture, life moves with precision. Imagination is the workshop where that picture is painted. The greatest tragedy is not the man who fails after trying, but the man who never tries because he never imagined. Many people live their entire lives confined to what they have always known, never daring to envision more. They limit themselves to the walls of their past, their environment, their current conditions. But those who rise, those who achieve greatness, are those who looked beyond the walls. They imagined freedom while enslaved, prosperity while poor, victory while defeated. Their minds refused to be confined, and because their minds were free, eventually their lives became free. You have within you the same faculty. Your imagination is your workshop. You need no tools, no capital, no permission, only the courage to use it. Take time each day to close your eyes and picture the life you desire. See it in detail. Feel it as though it were real. Speak to yourself of it. Write it down. Refine it. The clearer the image, the stronger the blueprint. And as you hold that image with persistence and faith, you will find the world beginning to align with it. Opportunities will emerge where before you saw none. People will come into your path who carry the missing pieces. Ideas will strike your mind that provide solutions. This is no magic. It is the natural law of imagination at work. The wealth of the future belongs not to those who wait, but to those who imagine. For everything you will ever hold in your hands must first be held in your mind. Guard your imagination. Feed it with inspiring ideas, with visions of greatness, with bold possibilities. Do not poison it with doubt, fear, or limitation. Let your imagination be the sacred workshop where you design the life you will one day live. For imagination is not fantasy. It is the starting point of all riches. It is the invisible hand that draws the visible into existence. Every fortune, every empire, every work of greatness began as a thought, and so too will yours. Persistence is the iron quality of success. Riches yield only to those who refuse to quit. There is a silent law written into the fabric of life that declares nothing great is ever achieved easily. Every worthwhile goal, every fortune, every legacy demands resistance, obstacles, and setbacks. The road to success is not smooth but jagged, not short but long, not simple but complex. And because of this, the majority abandon the path when the journey grows difficult. Yet those who understand the secret know that persistence is the iron quality that separates the winners from the defeated, the builders from the quitters, the wealthy from the wishing. Persistence is the weapon that outlasts failure, outshines talent, and outweighs even the brightest ideas. The world is full of men and women with talent who never rose beyond mediocrity, not because they lacked brilliance, but because they lacked persistence. Ideas flowed through their minds, but when challenges came, they surrendered. Circumstances became too heavy, critics too loud, results too slow. They started strong, but finished weak. Talent may open the door, imagination may design the plan, faith may give it life, but persistence is what carries it across the finish line. Without persistence, dreams wither before they bloom. With persistence, even the smallest seed of possibility can grow into a towering tree of accomplishment. Persistence is not a single act, but a sustained state of mind. It is the choice to rise again and again, regardless of how many times one is knocked down. It is the refusal to accept defeat as final. Defeat visits everyone. It tests every dream, challenges every vision, and questions every desire. But defeat is not permanent unless you surrender. To the persistent, defeat is only a detour, a redirection, a necessary step toward mastery. To the quitter, defeat is the end. The difference is not in circumstance, but in attitude. Persistence transforms defeat from a wall into a stepping stone. Those who persist understand that success does not happen in an instant. It is built slowly, brick by brick, day by day. They embrace the grind, the repetition, the labor that most people avoid. They are willing to endure rejection, delay, and ridicule, for they know these are but temporary tests. Persistence trains the mind to see beyond the present. Where others see only failure, the persistent see future victory. Where others stop, the persistent continue. And because of that, they eventually claim the prize. Think of every great achievement in history. Behind every invention, every discovery, every empire stands a story of persistence. the inventor who failed thousands of times before producing success, the leader who endured endless criticism before his vision prevailed, the entrepreneur who lived through bankruptcy, rejection, and scorn before building an empire, the athlete who trained through pain and loss before standing victorious. Their greatness was not that they never fell, but that they refused to stay down. The world rewards the persistent because persistence proves worthiness. Persistence is the test life uses to measure how badly you want what you claim to desire. Anyone can wish. Anyone can daydream. Anyone can speak of goals, but persistence reveals sincerity. If you can endure the long nights, the empty results, the slow progress, and still continue, then you have shown life that you are serious. Riches do not come to the casual, the half-hearted, or the easily discouraged. Riches yield only to the relentless. They bow to the one who refuses to quit, to the one who proves through action that nothing will stop him. But persistence does not come naturally. It must be built. It begins with a burning desire. Without desire, persistence cannot last. A weak wish cannot survive the storms of difficulty. But when desire burns hot enough, quitting feels impossible. Desire fuels persistence, and persistence keeps desire alive. Together, they create an unbreakable chain. This is why you must know exactly what you want. A vague goal produces weak persistence. A clear, definite desire produces unstoppable persistence. When the vision is sharp, the will to continue remains unshakable. Persistence also requires faith. When results are not yet visible, when progress seems invisible, faith sustains the persistent. Faith whispers, "Keep going, it will come." Without faith, persistence collapses under the weight of doubt. With faith, persistence grows stronger under pressure. Every challenge becomes proof that you are closer to your goal. Every setback becomes evidence that victory is testing your resolve. Faith and persistence walk hand in hand, for one feeds the other. Discipline is another pillar of persistence. The persistent do not rely on feelings. They do not wait for motivation to appear. They act whether they feel like it or not. They work when tired. They push when discouraged. They rise when fallen. They know that persistence is not a mood. It is a decision. Feelings fluctuate, but decisions endure. Those who build the discipline of consistent effort eventually wear down resistance itself. Even the hardest stone will yield to drops of water if the drops continue long enough. So too will the hardest circumstances yield to the steady hammer of persistence. Most people underestimate how close they are when they quit. Success often stands just beyond the point of exhaustion, just after the final rejection, just behind the last obstacle. Many stop one step before victory, never realizing that persistence for a little longer would have delivered the prize. The lesson is simple. Never quit while still in the fight. Quitting guarantees failure. Persistence guarantees eventual progress. The man who continues cannot be defeated. He can only be delayed. Persistence also creates character. It transforms the one who practices it. The persistent become strong, resilient, and unshakable. They learn patience, courage, and self-mastery. They grow into leaders because persistence demands growth. Every struggle endured and overcome builds inner strength. Wealth, success, and recognition are rewards, but the true prize of persistence is the person you become through the process. A man who persists emerges greater than he was when he began. Persistence is contagious. Others are inspired by it. They see in the persistent man or woman a strength they admire, and they are drawn to follow. Investors trust those who persist. Partners align with those who endure. Opportunities find those who will not quit. The world has little faith in the fickle, but it opens doors to the determined. Persistence earns respect, and respect attracts support. In this way, persistence multiplies itself by drawing resources and people to your cause. You must decide in advance that you will not quit. Make persistence your identity, not your option. Tell yourself that no matter how long it takes, no matter how hard it becomes, no matter how many times you fall, you will rise again. Decide that failure will never be final, that rejection will never be the last word, that obstacles will never stop you. When persistence becomes who you are, nothing in life can hold you down. The winds may blow, the storms may rage, but you will still be standing. And in the end, standing is all that is required to win. Riches, in whatever form you seek them, are not given. They are earned. And they are earned by persistence. Intelligence alone cannot secure them. Luck cannot guarantee them. Talent cannot sustain them. Persistence alone ensures them. It is the iron quality of success, the one virtue that all great achievers share. Refuse to quit, and you will eventually wear down resistance itself. Refuse to surrender, and you will force life to yield. Persistence is power. Persistence is proof. Persistence is the price. Those who pay it in full always collect their reward. So when the path is long, persist. When the nights are dark, persist. When the results are slow, persist. When others laugh, persist. When failure strikes, persist. When doubt whispers, persist. Nothing can stand against the one who refuses to quit. Persistence is the iron quality of success, and success always belongs to the persistent. Fear is the enemy of wealth. Action in the face of fear destroys its power. Every man and woman who has ever pursued greatness has met fear as a constant companion. Fear whispers at the beginning of every journey, questions every decision, and shadows every ambition. It is the voice that says, "You are not enough. It cannot be done. What if you fail?" Fear paralyzes the mind, steals initiative, and blinds vision. It is not external circumstances that most often defeat people. It is the fear of those circumstances. Poverty and failure do not strike first. Fear of poverty and failure weaken the spirit long before external conditions take their toll. Fear is the invisible chain that holds men back from wealth, freedom, and fulfillment. To conquer fear is to open the gates of abundance. Fear thrives in inaction. The longer you wait, the stronger it grows. It feeds on hesitation, doubt, and delay. A man who stands at the edge of a decision, thinking endlessly about the risks, soon finds himself frozen, unable to move forward. His imagination magnifies the dangers until they appear insurmountable. He convinces himself that tomorrow will be safer, that waiting will make courage easier. But tomorrow never comes, for fear only multiplies with time. The only antidote is action. Action, even in small steps, weakens fear. When you move forward despite trembling, fear begins to lose its grip. Each act of courage shrinks it until it no longer has power over you. Wealth, in any form, requires boldness. To build a fortune, to launch an enterprise, to seize an opportunity, you must act where others hesitate. The timid wait for certainty, but certainty never arrives. Opportunities do not announce themselves with guarantees. They appear as risks. The difference between the wealthy and the average is not that the wealthy felt no fear, but that they acted in spite of it. They recognized that fear is only a signal, not a command. They acknowledged its presence but refused to bow to it. In choosing action, they destroyed fear's authority and gained control of their destiny. Fear is the enemy because it disguises itself as wisdom. It tells you that waiting is logical, that safety is smart, that risk is foolish. But often what fear calls wisdom is only cowardice in disguise. True wisdom weighs risks with clarity and then chooses boldly. Fear distorts reality, exaggerating risks while minimizing opportunities. It convinces you that failure will destroy you, when in truth, failure is the pathway to learning and eventual success. Those who listen to fear live lives of caution, never tasting the fullness of their potential. Those who silence fear through action discover that the danger was never as great as their imagination made it. Fear also thrives in secrecy. When you keep your dreams hidden, when you do not commit openly, fear has more room to grow. Speaking your vision, declaring your goals, and stepping into the light exposes fear for what it is, a shadow with no substance. Shadows look terrifying in the dark, but the moment you shine light upon them, they lose their shape. The same is true of fear. When you take a bold step toward your dream, the shadow shrinks. Action is the light that dissolves fear's illusion. The richest rewards lie on the other side of fear. Every opportunity worth seizing, every venture worth pursuing, every dream worth living will require you to face fear. If fear is present, it means you are standing before something significant. Fear is the signal that you are leaving comfort and entering growth. Instead of running from it, use it as a compass. Let fear guide you toward the very place you must go. The man who avoids fear avoids his destiny. The man who confronts fear unlocks his wealth. Wealth is not only measured in money, it is measured in freedom, growth, and fulfillment. Fear robs all of these. A man who fears is not free, no matter how much money he has. A man who fears will not grow, for growth requires stepping into the unknown. A man who fears will not be fulfilled, for fulfillment requires pursuing what matters most, even when it terrifies him. Action is liberation. When you take the step you are afraid to take, you reclaim power. You prove to yourself that fear is not your master. Each time you act in defiance of fear, you grow stronger. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the refusal to obey fear. Consider those who have achieved greatness. They did not arrive there without fear. They felt it as much as anyone else, but they refused to allow fear to dictate their decision. The entrepreneur who invests despite uncertainty, the leader who speaks despite criticism, the artist who creates despite rejection, all walk hand in hand with fear. What separates them is that they moved anyway. Fear does not vanish before action. It vanishes through action. Those who wait for courage before they move will wait forever. Courage is born in the doing. Fear has many disguises: fear of poverty, fear of failure, fear of criticism, fear of loss, fear of the unknown. Each of these fears enslaves those who submit to them. Fear of poverty keeps men tied to jobs they despise, never daring to pursue opportunities that could liberate them. Fear of failure prevents men from trying at all, guaranteeing the very failure they feared. Fear of criticism silences voices that could inspire and ideas that could change the world. Fear of loss keeps hearts from loving fully and minds from creating boldly. Fear of the unknown traps souls in the familiar, even when the familiar is miserable. But every one of these fears bows to the same weapon, action. The man who takes action in the face of fear proves that he values his vision more than his comfort. He refuses to be enslaved by illusions. He may stumble, he may fail, he may even fall, but he rises stronger each time. And with each step, fear's voice grows weaker. Eventually, fear becomes irrelevant. It no longer commands him because he has trained himself to act regardless of its presence. This is true wealth, mastery over self. Action in the face of fear also builds trust in yourself. Each time you do what you were afraid to do, you discover that you are stronger than you thought. Confidence is not born from ease, it is forged in struggle. The man who hides from fear never learns his true strength. The man who confronts fear discovers an inner power that cannot be taken from him. This confidence becomes the foundation upon which he builds wealth, for wealth requires risks, and risks require courage. With every act of courage, he becomes bolder, more decisive, more capable of creating abundance. Fear will never fully disappear. It is a natural response to uncertainty, but it does not need to disappear for you to succeed. What matters is your relationship with it. Do you allow it to control you, or do you control it? Do you let it dictate your choices, or do you act in spite of it? Success belongs not to the fearless, but to the brave, the ones who feel fear and move anyway. In this lies the secret. You do not conquer fear by waiting for it to fade. You conquer it by refusing to wait at all. To create wealth, you must take risks. You must invest when others hesitate, speak when others remain silent, act when others are paralyzed. Fear will try to hold you back, but if you move anyway, you will discover that most of its threats were illusions. Riches come to the bold, not because boldness eliminates risk, but because boldness refuses to be stopped by fear. Fear is the enemy of wealth, and every time you act in its presence, you defeat it. Therefore, let fear be the signal, not the barrier. Let it remind you that you are on the path of growth. Let it serve as proof that you are pursuing something meaningful. And above all, let it never dictate your actions. Step forward even trembling. Speak up, even with a shaking voice. Invest, create, build, even when uncertainty surrounds you. For action is the sword that slays fear, and wealth belongs to those who dare to wield it. Fear may visit, but it need not stay. Fear may speak, but it need not be obeyed. Fear may tremble your hands, but it cannot bind your will unless you let it. Rise above it. Act anyway. Each step you take in the face of fear destroys its power and brings you closer to the riches you were meant to claim. Decision shapes destiny. The wealthy decide quickly and act without hesitation. Life presents itself as a series of crossroads, countless moments where a choice must be made. Each decision, no matter how small, contributes to the shaping of your destiny. To hesitate, to delay, to remain trapped in endless contemplation is to hand your future over to chance. Indecision is the silent thief of opportunity. It steals time, it drains energy, and it allows fear to grow stronger. The wealthy, the successful, the fulfilled understand this truth. Their future is built not on chance, but on choice. Not on hesitation, but on decisive action. Decision is the spark that ignites achievement. Nothing happens until a choice is made. A dream may inspire. A plan may guide. But unless a decision is taken, the dream remains a shadow and the plan remains ink on paper. The moment of decision is the moment of creation. It is when the invisible begins to take form. The indecisive person waits for conditions to be perfect, for every doubt to be resolved, for every risk to vanish. But such a day never comes. Conditions are never perfect, doubt is never silent, risk is never absent. Those who wait remain waiting. Those who decide step forward and force conditions to align with their will. The wealthy have learned that delay costs more than mistakes. A wrong decision, when acted upon, can often be corrected. Indecision, on the other hand, creates stagnation that may last a lifetime. A mistake teaches, guides, and redirects. Hesitation teaches nothing. To act and fail is to grow. To hesitate and avoid is to shrink. The wealthy act quickly not because they are reckless, but because they understand that action itself produces clarity. They trust themselves to adjust along the way, knowing that motion reveals opportunities that inaction never uncovers. Every fortune begins with a bold decision. The decision to start a business, to seize an investment, to leave a comfort zone, to pursue a vision. At first, there is no guarantee of success, only the certainty of risk. But behind every great accomplishment is a moment where someone said, "I will," and refused to turn back. That single decision created ripples that shaped the course of destiny. History is filled with men and women who looked at uncertainty, felt fear, and yet made a decision that altered not only their lives, but the lives of countless others. Their wealth, their influence, their legacy can be traced back to the courage of decision. Indecision, by contrast, is the breeding ground of poverty. The man who cannot decide is a slave to circumstance. He waits for the world to choose for him. He drifts with the current, never steering his own ship. Opportunities pass him by because he hesitates to grasp them. Others act faster, and the indecisive man is left with regret. He wonders why fortune never favors him, never realizing that fortune had knocked on his door, but found him too slow to answer. Hesitation may feel safe in the moment, but in truth it is the most dangerous choice of all, for it guarantees stagnation while life and opportunity move on without you. Decision requires courage. To decide quickly is to declare, "I trust myself." It is to believe in your ability to handle whatever consequences arise. This is why the wealthy decide fast. They have trained themselves to trust their judgment. They do not wait for outside approval. They do not beg for permission. They weigh the facts, listen to their intuition, and act. They know that certainty is not found in waiting, but in deciding. Even if they err, they can pivot. Even if they stumble, they can recover. But by deciding, they keep moving, and movement is the path to momentum, and momentum is the path to wealth. Decisiveness also builds confidence. Every time you make a choice without hesitation, you strengthen the belief that you are capable of guiding your life. Confidence is not born from ease. It is built through decision and action. The indecisive never develop confidence, for they never give themselves the chance to prove their strength. They doubt, they delay, they retreat, and with each hesitation, their self-belief shrinks. The decisive, on the other hand, grow stronger with each choice. They may not always be right, but they are always moving forward. And in that forward motion, they build the habit of leadership. Decision must also be final. The wealthy decide quickly, but change their decisions slowly, only when evidence demands it. They do not waver back and forth, allowing doubt to weaken their resolve. Once they choose, they commit. Commitment fuels persistence, and persistence brings results. The indecisive man may finally choose, but because he doubts his own decision, he changes course at the first sign of difficulty. He abandons one path for another, never staying long enough to succeed. This is why he remains poor, not because he lacked opportunity, but because he lacked resolve. Success requires commitment, and commitment requires decision. Think of a ship at sea. A captain who cannot decide which direction to sail drifts endlessly, carried by winds and currents, never arriving at a destination. Another captain, even if uncertain, chooses a direction and sails with determination. He may adjust his course along the way, but because he chose, he eventually arrives. Life is the same. Those who decide even imperfectly arrive. Those who refuse to decide drift until their days are gone. Decision is power because it transforms thought into action. A man may think endlessly about wealth, success, and greatness, but until he decides, nothing changes. Decision converts desire into determination. It is the line between wishing and doing. Without decision, dreams are fantasies. With decision, dreams become commands to the subconscious mind, instructions to the body, orders to the universe. Decision is the point where thought becomes destiny. But making strong decisions requires clarity of purpose. If you do not know what you want, you cannot decide firmly. Vagueness breeds hesitation. The wealthy are decisive because they have definite goals. They know what they want, and because of that, their decisions align with their vision. They are not distracted by trivial choices, nor do they waste energy on indecision. Every choice is filtered through the question, does this bring me closer to my goal? If yes, they act. If no, they refuse. Simplicity replaces confusion when purpose is clear. Fear is the greatest enemy of decision. Fear whispers, wait until it's safer. Wait until you know more. Wait until someone else goes first. And those who listen to fear become paralyzed. But fear does not vanish with time. It vanishes with action. The decisive man recognizes fear but does not surrender to it. He acts in spite of it, and by acting he proves to himself that fear has no power. This courage builds momentum, and momentum produces wealth. The wealthiest lives are those built by those who refuse to wait. They chose, they acted, they committed. They understood that destiny is not written by chance but carved by decision. Every fortune, every empire, every breakthrough was once a decision in the mind of a man or woman who dared to choose quickly and act without hesitation. The same power lies within you. Each day you stand at crossroads. Each day you are faced with choices that shape your future. Choose boldly, act quickly, commit fully, for decision shapes destiny, and your destiny awaits your courage to decide. Specialized knowledge creates value. Applied knowledge attracts wealth more than general information. In every age, in every society, wealth has flowed to those who possessed knowledge that others did not, and who applied it with precision to solve problems, meet needs, and create opportunities. General knowledge is abundant and easily found. It fills libraries, classrooms, and conversations. It provides a foundation for understanding, but it rarely produces fortune on its own. Specialized knowledge, however, is rare and valuable. It focuses on a specific field, a particular skill, a defined problem, and it carries with it the potential to create extraordinary wealth. The man who knows something deeply that others do not know, or who can apply what he knows better than others can, becomes indispensable. General knowledge is like the sea, vast, wide, and shallow. Specialized knowledge is like a well, narrow, deep, and rich. You may study countless subjects, collect degrees, and impress others with trivia, but until your knowledge is directed toward a specific purpose and applied with action, it remains potential rather than power. A man may know the history of the world, the names of stars, or the philosophies of ancient thinkers, but if that knowledge cannot be applied to solve the pressing needs of today, it holds little value in the marketplace. Wealth is not given for what you know broadly. It is given for what you can do specifically. Consider the difference between a general doctor and a heart surgeon. Both have studied medicine, but one has gone deeper into a particular field. The surgeon has specialized knowledge, and because his skills are rare and essential, his value is far greater. The same principle applies across all professions. The generalist is replaceable, the specialist is indispensable. The one who knows a little about many things may survive, but the one who knows much about one thing and applies it well prospers. But specialized knowledge alone is not enough. The world is filled with men and women who know much, but who remain poor. Why? Because they do not apply their knowledge. Knowledge must be put to use to have value. A skill locked away, an idea untested, or a plan unexecuted is wasted potential. The wealthy distinguish themselves not just by what they know, but by how they use what they know. They take knowledge from the realm of theory into the realm of action. They test it, refine it, and apply it until it yields results. The marketplace rewards action, not theory. It pays not for what you know, but for what you do with what you know. Think of the countless inventions that never reached the world, the brilliant ideas that remained in notebooks, the insights that were never applied. They had potential to change lives and create fortunes, but because they were never acted upon, they produced nothing. Meanwhile, those who dared to take imperfect knowledge and apply it boldly often achieved what the dreamers never did. It is not the accumulation of knowledge that brings wealth, but the execution of knowledge with purpose. Specialized knowledge must also be directed toward service. Wealth flows where value is created, and value is created when knowledge solves problems, satisfies desires, or improves lives. The man who hoards knowledge for himself remains poor, but the man who uses knowledge to meet the needs of others becomes rich. Wealth is the reward for value delivered, and specialized knowledge is the tool through which that value is produced. The marketplace is a mirror that reflects the usefulness of your knowledge. If what you know can be easily replaced or found in a book, its value is low. But if what you know is rare, hard to duplicate, and deeply needed, its value rises. The wealthiest individuals have always been those who combined specialized knowledge with bold action and service. They identified what few others could do, mastered it, and then applied it in ways that improved the lives of many. It is important to understand that specialized knowledge is not static. It must evolve. The world changes, industries transform, and what is valuable today may be obsolete tomorrow. Those who cling to outdated knowledge lose their value. Those who continue to learn, refine, and adapt keep their edge. Specialized knowledge must be sharpened like a blade. It grows dull if left unused. The man who ceases to learn ceases to earn. In the modern age, information is everywhere, but wisdom is rare. Anyone can search for facts, but not everyone can interpret, synthesize, and apply them effectively. This is where specialized knowledge distinguishes itself. It is not merely facts, but the mastery of principles, techniques, and insights that can be acted upon. The future belongs to those who can cut through the noise of general information and create clarity and solutions through their specialized knowledge. Some believe that wealth requires genius-level intelligence, but this is not true. It requires focus. Intelligence scattered across many fields may entertain the mind, but intelligence concentrated on one area creates power. Focused knowledge applied with persistence can achieve what brilliance without direction cannot. A man of average intellect but deep focus in one area often surpasses a man of high intellect who never commits to mastery. Depth, not breadth, creates value. It is also worth noting that specialized knowledge need not always be your own. Wealthy individuals often surround themselves with people who possess the knowledge they lack. They build alliances, hire experts, and gather specialized minds around them. They understand that no one can master every field, but they can assemble a team of specialists to achieve extraordinary results. Knowledge need not be personally owned. It can be organized, borrowed, and directed. The skill of coordinating specialized knowledge is itself a form of specialized knowledge. For those seeking wealth, the path is clear. Stop trying to know everything and start focusing on knowing something deeply. Ask yourself, what do I know that others find valuable? What skill can I master that solves real problems? What knowledge can I apply to create results? The answers to these questions point you toward wealth. The world does not pay for effort, it pays for results. Results are produced not by scattered generalities, but by focused expertise. When you dedicate yourself to mastering a field, you separate yourself from the masses. Most people remain dabblers, knowing a little about everything but not enough to excel in anything. The specialist, however, is sought after, respected, and rewarded. Specialized knowledge also builds confidence. When you know that you have mastered a skill or subject, you carry yourself differently. You do not fear competition, for you know your value. You do not doubt yourself, for your competence speaks louder than words. Confidence attracts opportunity, and opportunity attracts wealth. Thus, specialized knowledge not only creates value externally, but it also strengthens belief internally. True wealth is not about luck, but about preparation meeting opportunity. Specialized knowledge prepares you. Opportunity will surely come, and when it does, those who are prepared with unique and applicable knowledge will seize it. Those who relied on general knowledge alone will watch opportunity pass them by. Therefore, to grow rich, you must grow deep. Choose a field, a craft, a skill. Dedicate yourself to mastering it. Do not settle for being average. Go beyond the surface, dig beneath the obvious, and refine your knowledge until it becomes rare. Then, take that knowledge and apply it with boldness. Use it to serve, to solve, to create. Wealth will follow because wealth is the shadow of value, and value is the fruit of specialized knowledge in action. In the end, knowledge is not power, applied knowledge is power. And not just any knowledge, but knowledge that is sharpened, specialized, and aligned with purpose. Those who understand this truth rise to wealth. Those who ignore it remain trapped in mediocrity. The choice is yours. Will you scatter rare efforts in general knowledge, or will you focus, master, and apply? The direction you choose will determine not only your income, but your destiny. Riches require alliances. Success grows faster in cooperation than in isolation. No man has ever risen to greatness entirely on his own. The idea of the self-made individual is seductive, but it is a half-truth. Every great fortune, every lasting achievement, every powerful empire has been built on the foundation of relationships, partnerships, and alliances. Wealth is not the work of a single pair of hands. It is the product of many minds, many talents, and many efforts united toward a shared vision. To attempt to rise in isolation is to fight against nature itself, for life is designed to be cooperative. Strength multiplies when it is shared, wisdom grows when it is exchanged, and opportunities expand when they are pursued together. Isolation may feel safe. To rely only on yourself may appear to protect you from disappointment, betrayal, or failure. But in truth, isolation is weakness. It limits your perspective, reduces your reach, and narrows your resources. A single mind can imagine, but a group of minds can refine, sharpen, and amplify. A single voice can speak, but many voices together can echo across the world. A single individual can labor, but an alliance can achieve in days what one person could not accomplish in years. The wealthy understand this law of life. Riches move faster through networks of cooperation than through solitary effort. Consider how nature operates. A single tree in the forest does not stand alone. Beneath the soil, roots intertwine, exchanging nutrients, sharing strength, warning of danger. The forest thrives because its members are connected. In the same way, human beings flourish when united in purpose. The greatest fortunes have always been the result of minds coming together. The steam engine, electricity, airplanes, digital technology, all these breakthroughs were not the work of one man in isolation, but of alliances, collaborations, and the sharing of knowledge across generations. The power of alliances lies in the principle of leverage. Alone, your time, skill, and resources are limited. With alliances, your influence multiplies. You borrow the strength of others, and they borrow yours, creating results far beyond what any individual could produce. One man may have knowledge but lack capital. Another may have capital but lack vision. Together they create wealth. One man may have the plan but not the influence. Another may have the network but not the strategy. Together they open doors that neither could open alone. The wealthy are masters of building alliances. They seek out those who complement their weaknesses, those who share their vision, those who bring strength where they themselves are lacking. They do not waste time competing with everyone. They learn the art of cooperation. They know that competition sharpens skills, but cooperation multiplies outcomes. They understand that while one person may run fast, it takes a team to run far. Poverty often clings to isolation. The poor man insists on doing everything himself. He distrusts others, refuses help, and fears sharing credit. He says, if I want it done right, I must do it myself, not realizing that by doing everything himself, he ensures he can never achieve beyond his own limited capacity. He mistakes independence for strength, but his independence is actually weakness, for it keeps him small. The wealthy know better. They are not afraid to share credit, to divide profit, or to work alongside others. They know that half of a great fortune is far better than all of a small one. Alliances also provide wisdom that one mind alone cannot achieve. No matter how intelligent you are, your perspective is limited. You cannot see every angle, anticipate every challenge, or imagine every possibility. But when you surround yourself with others, each bringing their own experience, insight, and knowledge, the collective vision becomes far greater than the individual vision. This is why the wealthy gather counsels, advisors, and partners. They do not rely solely on their own judgment. They harness the power of many minds. But alliances require humility. To work with others, you must be willing to listen, to learn, and to share. Pride isolates. Humility unites. The man who believes he knows everything cannot build strong alliances, for he dismisses the value of others. But the man who knows his own limits, who respects the strength of those around him, who values cooperation, will attract partners, and together they will climb higher than pride could ever climb alone. Building alliances also requires trust. Trust is the currency of cooperation. Without it, alliances crumble. Trust is built by integrity, by keeping your word, honoring commitments, and placing collective success above selfish gain. When people trust you, they bring their best to the partnership. When they doubt you, they withdraw. The wealthy guard their integrity because they know that a single act of dishonesty can destroy years of relationship building. Trust is fragile, but when protected, it becomes the strongest bond in an alliance. It is also important to recognize that not every alliance will last. Some will betray you, some will disappoint you, some will fail. This is part of the process. Do not let one broken alliance cause you to retreat into isolation. A failed partnership is not proof that alliances do not work. It is proof that discernment is needed. Learn, adjust, and build again. The wealthy understand that the risk of betrayal is far smaller than the reward of cooperation. They keep building alliances until they find those who are loyal, capable, and aligned with their vision. Riches also require strategic alliances across time. Your present alliances open doors for your future. The people you surround yourself with today shape the opportunities you will encounter tomorrow. Every connection is a seed, and with time, seeds bear fruit. This is why the wealthy are careful about whom they associate with. They do not waste time with those who drain their energy or diminish their vision. They align themselves with those who elevate their thinking, inspire their growth, and strengthen their resolve. They know that their network is a reflection of their destiny. History provides endless examples of alliances that created empires. Merchants who joined together built trade routes that spanned continents. Inventors who partnered with financiers brought forth industries that transformed civilization. Leaders who allied with visionaries reshaped nations. Even today, the most powerful companies in the world are not the work of isolated individuals, but of teams, boards, investors, and innovators working together. Behind every visible leader is an invisible network of alliances. Isolation limits wealth because it limits influence. Wealth is created through exchange of goods, exchange of services, exchange of ideas. Exchange requires others. Alone, you can only produce for yourself. With alliances, you can produce for the world. Wealth grows in proportion to the number of people you serve, and alliances expand that reach far beyond what one person can achieve. Success grows faster in cooperation because cooperation reduces resistance. What one man struggles to push alone, many can lift with ease. What seems impossible in isolation becomes inevitable in unity. Cooperation creates momentum. It turns obstacles into stepping stones, divides burdens, multiplies joys, and accelerates progress. This is why those who master the art of alliance rise quickly, while those who cling to isolation rise slowly, if at all. Therefore, if you desire riches, do not walk alone. Seek alliances with those who share your purpose. Surround yourself with people of integrity, vision, and strength. Offer your own value in return. For alliances are not built on taking but on giving. Be willing to contribute, to support, to uplift. The more value you bring to your alliances, the more value your alliances will bring to you. Riches are not created in a vacuum. They are born in the marketplace of minds, talents, and efforts united. The individual dreamer may imagine wealth, but it takes alliances to bring that dream into reality. No matter how brilliant, how determined, or how skilled you are, your greatness will be multiplied when joined with others. Remember this: Isolation builds limitations, but alliances build empires. Choose unity, choose cooperation, and you will find that success arrives not only faster, but in far greater measure than you could ever achieve alone. True wealth is self-mastery. Material riches follow the man who controls his mind, his vision, and his actions. All pursuit of fortune begins within. The greatest treasure you can ever possess is not gold, land, or status, but dominion over yourself. Without self-mastery, riches slip away as quickly as they come. With self-mastery, even a man of humble beginnings can rise to command abundance, for he has forged the discipline, clarity, and strength that attract and sustain wealth. Money itself is not the true source of power. It is only a symbol, a servant, a tool. The true source of power is mastery over one's thoughts, emotions, choices, and direction in life. The man who cannot master himself becomes a slave to circumstance. His emotions control him, his fears dominate him, and his habits sabotage him. He may win fortunes by luck or temporary effort, but without discipline, he loses them. History is filled with stories of men who stumbled upon riches only to see them vanish because they lacked mastery over themselves. They could not control their appetites. They wasted in pleasure what should have been invested. They lost focus when distractions called, and their wealth became a fleeting shadow. By contrast, the man of self-mastery, even if stripped of all possessions, can rise again, for he carries within him the true source of wealth, the ability to command himself. Self-mastery begins in the mind. Thoughts are seeds, and every act of greatness begins as a single idea planted in the soil of imagination. If your thoughts are scattered, negative, or enslaved to fear, your life will reflect that disorder. But if your mind is disciplined, focused, and directed toward a clear purpose, your actions will align, and results will follow. To master the mind is to choose your thoughts as carefully as a gardener chooses seeds. It means refusing to allow doubt, envy, or despair to take root, and instead planting faith, determination, and vision. The mind is your most precious property. Guard it well, for it is the workshop where riches are designed long before they appear in the world. Vision is the next pillar of self-mastery. The man who controls his vision does not drift aimlessly, but directs his life with intention. Vision is the compass of destiny. Without it, one wanders from one distraction to another, always busy but never fulfilled. With vision, every step is aligned with purpose. Wealth flows to those who see clearly what they want, who imagine vividly their goals, and who refuse to be swayed by temporary setbacks. Vision creates persistence because it paints a future worth striving for. The man of vision endures trials because he sees beyond them. He invests wisely because he knows where he is headed. He turns away from fleeting pleasures because he sees the greater reward ahead. Riches cannot remain with the man who lacks vision, for without it he spends without purpose, works without focus, and lives without direction. Action completes the triad of self-mastery. Thought without action is daydreaming. Vision without action is fantasy. But action, consistent and disciplined, transforms thought and vision into reality. The man who controls his actions masters his habits, his time, and his energy. He does not waste his hours on trivial pursuits. He does not surrender to laziness or procrastination. He directs his energy toward the tasks that bring him closer to his goals. He builds routines that reinforce success, and he eliminates habits that drain his power. Self-mastery in action is not about working endlessly, but about working purposefully. Each action is chosen with intention, each decision aligned with the vision, each step reinforcing the discipline of the mind. True wealth is not merely the possession of money, but the possession of self. A man with millions who is ruled by greed, fear, or indulgence is poor, for he is enslaved by forces within. He may dine at grand tables, but he eats with discontent. He may live in palaces, but he is imprisoned by anxiety. He may be surrounded by admirers, but he despises himself in silence. Contrast him with the man who governs his own spirit. Even with modest means, he walks with confidence, for he trusts himself. He speaks with strength, for his words come from clarity. He chooses with courage, for his mind is free from fear. And because he governs himself, he attracts opportunities, alliances, and fortunes that follow naturally. True wealth begins within, and the world reflects it outwardly. Self-mastery is also the antidote to fear. Fear paralyzes, blinds, and destroys wealth before it can be born. The man who does not master his fears avoids risks, avoids opportunities, and avoids growth. But the man who controls his inner world can face fear with calm courage. He recognizes its whispers but refuses to obey them. His mastery allows him to act in the face of uncertainty, and in that action he discovers doors that fear kept closed for others. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of fear, and wealth belongs to those who dare to act courageously. Discipline is the practical expression of self-mastery. Without discipline, desires remain idle wishes. Discipline is the bridge between intention and accomplishment. It is rising early when the mind craves sleep. It is investing when the heart wants to spend. It is focusing on the long term when temptation calls for immediate gratification. Discipline is sacrifice, but sacrifice is the seed of abundance. The man who sacrifices small pleasures for great goals reaps wealth. The man who indulges in every whim remains poor. Discipline is difficult in the moment, but it is the sculptor of destiny, carving the man who becomes worthy of riches. Self-mastery also governs emotions. Wealth is lost by those who cannot control anger, who are swayed by jealousy, or who make decisions clouded by pride. The ability to remain calm in conflict, patient in delay, and humble in success is rare and therefore powerful. Emotional mastery creates stability, and stability creates trust. People entrust their time, money, and opportunities to those who are steady, not those who are volatile. The man who governs his emotions governs his future. True wealth is also spiritual in nature. It is not found in possessions alone, but in peace of mind, in clarity of conscience, in harmony with purpose. Material riches are but a reflection of inner order. The man who is empty inside may chase wealth endlessly, but never feel rich. The man who is full within attracts wealth naturally because he does not need it to define him. He uses it as a tool to express the richness he already carries in his spirit. Self-mastery creates this inner wealth, and material wealth simply follows as a shadow follows a body. The journey of self-mastery is not a single decision, but a daily practice. Each day you are tested by distractions, temptations, fears, and challenges. Each day you either rule yourself or are ruled by something within you. The path is not easy, but it is the only path to lasting wealth. For when you master yourself, nothing external can master you. You become unshakable, unstoppable, and undeniable. Your riches are secure because they are built not on chance, but on character. Remember this truth. Fortune favors not the reckless, not the lazy, not the undisciplined, but the man who has conquered himself. When your mind is disciplined, your vision clear, and your actions aligned, you become a magnet to wealth. Opportunities find you, people trust you, and results follow you. Riches may enter and leave many hands, but they always settle with those who have mastered themselves. True wealth is not about possession, it is about power, and the greatest power is self-mastery.